In this video, I'll be going over everything you need to know to learn how to lucid dream. So the first skill you will need to work on is improving your dream recall. The best and easiest way to do this is to have a dream journal, a book that you're going to keep by your bed, and whenever you get up, even if it's in the middle of the night, you can jot down a detailed description of the dream, or you can just jot down a couple of keywords, whatever works for you, but as long as you have a dream journal, that is key. And there are actually two reasons you want to keep the dream journal. The first is when you write down your dreams, you're telling your subconscious that dreams are important. You remember them. So it's going to help you naturally remember more dreams and improve your dream recall. The second is after writing down your dreams for a few weeks or a few months, you can look back at them and you may notice some patterns, whether that's your dreams take place in a certain location very often, or maybe something is happening like you're late to work, or maybe you see someone in your dreams very often. These are dream signs. Once you identify your own dream signs, you can then prepare yourself for them to give you a higher chance of becoming lucid in your next dream. And this technique is actually how I had my first ever lucid dream as a kid. I used to play Call of Duty online, the video game, and I noticed that I had a lot of dreams that took place within Call of Duty maps. So then one night I was in an airport map. I forget the name of it now, but I remember within the dream, I realized that I was in the map, and that made me realize it was a dream. And that was my first ever lucid dream. So once you've identified some of your own dream signs, then you can prepare yourself for it before you go to bed. Before sleep, just say something like, if I'm walking around in a Call of Duty map, I will remember to recognize that I'm dreaming. Another tip to improve your dream recall is when you wake up in the morning, don't move and keep your eyes closed. And during this time, you try to think back and just remember anything you can about what you were dreaming about. If nothing is coming to mind, you can even think of some people that you see often or places you usually go, and that might help a dream memory resurface. If you remember anything at all, even just a very small piece, write it down in the dream journal. Anything you write down in there is important and you're building progress. So the last tip I have to improve your dream recall is to try to recall your dreams later in the day. Once you wake up, it's easier to recall your dreams, you just had them. But now you start going about your day, maybe 6 to 10 hours later, try to think back, what did you dream about this morning? And this is going to help build that dream recall. This is just another way to practice. If you can't remember, you can always refer back to your dream journal. So the next skill you'll need to learn in order to have success with lucid dreaming is meditation. And this is very important, and I think it's often overlooked by newcomers, but you don't need to do very much meditation, just 5 minutes a day. If you don't know how to meditate, I'm going to create a video on how you can learn. It's actually very simple. It's just all about consistency. And meditation is going to help you with living in the present moment, which will make it easier to realize you're dreaming. If you're more focused on the present, it's going to be easier for you to recognize when things are out of the ordinary in the dream world. It will also help with your dream recall and some more advanced visualization and wake back to bed techniques, which we'll be going over later. So now we've built a solid foundation for your lucid dreaming practice with the dream journal and learning meditation. These two skills are essential for your long-term success with lucid dreaming. Now we'll go over a few techniques that will help you have more lucid dreams and maybe get you your first one if you haven't had one already. So we kind of went over one already, which is dream signs. Once you identify your dream sign, it's as simple as reminding yourself throughout the day, and especially before bed, that next time you see that dream sign, you will remember to recognize that you were dreaming. Another simple technique that you can try before bed is intent or prayer. You can say in your head to yourself, tonight I will realize that I am dreaming, or you can pray to God, ask God if he can help you to realize you're dreaming and have lucid dreams. And with both of these techniques, you're really just telling your subconscious that you want to lucid dream. Desire is a huge part of this. You have to really want it, and if you do, you will succeed. So now we're going to talk about what I believe is the holy grail of lucid dreaming practice techniques. This is by far the best technique to get you to lucid dream consistently, and that is reality checks. So a reality check is something that you do during the day in your normal waking life to determine if you are dreaming. You're basically asking yourself whether or not you are dreaming right now, and you get in the habit of doing that throughout the day. I believe that a lot of people don't lucid dream because they never stop and think about it. Dreams are so similar to your waking life. Without proper training, how are you ever going to realize you're dreaming? And if you don't start asking yourself during the day if you're dreaming, why would you ever ask yourself in a dream? If you've seen the movie Inception, his reality check is the spinning top. He spins the top, and if it falls over, he knows that he's in physical reality. Now, there's a variety of reality checks that you can use. Some are better than others. Find what works for you. My favorite reality check that I used was to pinch my nose close. Like sometimes people will try to pinch their nose closed before they go underwater, and then you try to breathe in because you can't breathe in. That is, if you're in physical reality. However, if you're in a dream, you're pinching your dream nose, and your physical nose can still breathe. So if you pinch your nose and you can still breathe in through your nose, then you know you're dreaming. That should shock you into realizing that it's a dream. If you aren't comfortable pinching your nose in public or think it looks weird, you can also do a mental reality check where you just, in your mind, you have to seriously consider whether or not you're dreaming for at least a few seconds. Think to how you got there, what are you doing? You've got to seriously consider it for a few seconds. And I would even go another step and say to yourself in your head that I realize I'm dreaming. Because in physical reality, obviously you know you're not dreaming, but you're conditioning yourself so that when you do this in a dream, you're just trying to improve your chances of going lucid. And if you're in the habit of saying, I realize I'm dreaming, then you will be much more likely to realize it when the time comes. And the reason I say all of this is because I actually found out the hard way. I went with a very common reality check where you try to push your finger through your hand, and I'd gotten into the habit of doing it during my daily life. So, I would see my trigger, which we'll talk about in a moment, and then I would do the reality check. I'd try to push my finger through my hand. It wouldn't go through, and I would be like, oh, it didn't go through, not dreaming, and I would continue on with my day. So that's what my habit became. After a couple weeks, I started to do it in my dreams. And in the dream, the same thing would happen. I would go to push my finger through my hand, it would not go through, and I would continue on in the dream, non lucid. So after this happened a few times, I realized I had to change my approach. That's why I say you need to seriously consider it. You can't just say, oh, nope, not dreaming, obviously, and continue on with your day, because that's what you'll do in a dream. You have to seriously consider it. You have to think about how you got there, and that's why I think also saying the I realize I'm dreaming is another layer of insurance to help you realize it. And it also doubles as an after affirmation. If you're walking around all day saying, I realize I'm dreaming, you're just repeating a subconscious affirmation all day. It's going to improve your chances. So the last step to having success with reality checks is you need a trigger, something that you see throughout the day, and that will trigger you to do your reality check. This is going to be a lot more effective than just randomly doing reality checks whenever you feel like it, and it's going to help you build a habit as well. So what I did for my trigger was every time I went to a new place, I would do a reality check. So that means if I left my house, if I leave work and now I'm going to lunch, now I leave lunch, all those times would trigger me to do a reality check. Now, you don't want to pick a trigger that happens too often. I think maybe every hour or couple hours would be good. So if you're a delivery driver and you're going from place to place, then you'd probably want to pick a different trigger. Another good trigger example could be every time you eat something, that could trigger you to do a reality check. You also don't want to do more than 2 triggers because we're trying to keep it simple here. We're trying to build a habit. So 1 trigger, maybe 2. The second trigger could potentially be a dream sign. If you see a person in a lot of your dreams and you recognize that that's a dream sign, you can turn that into one of your triggers as well. So maybe you could do every time you eat something and every time you see your dream sign would be your 2 triggers. I've also heard that it can take up to 3 weeks of doing something every day for it to become a habit. And it's unlikely that you're going to do a reality check in your dreams until it's so ingrained that it has become a habit. So it's very important that you stay consistent with this. I would commit at least 3 months to doing reality checks. If you do reality checks every day for 3 months, I think it's almost guaranteed that you will succeed. And one more note on reality checks is you may not even do the reality check in the dream, but just by thinking about it during the day, that's going to give you a much higher chance to realize you're dreaming. And that's really why it works. So the last technique I'll be going over today is referred to as the WILD, W-I-L-D method. It stands for Wake-Induced Lucid Dream. Now, this method requires you to get up after about 6 or 7 hours of sleep. You can either wait to get up naturally or you can set an alarm. Once you're up, you're supposed to stay awake for between 5 minutes all the way up to 2 hours. And you can experiment with this to find out which is most effective for you. And then when you're going back to sleep, you can either use the intent method, just try to intend that you will realize you're dreaming, or what can be even more effective is you use visualization. You imagine you are in a dream that you had in the past, if you can easily recall like a dream scene you were at, or maybe just imagine you're at the park playing basketball. You can imagine you're walking across the beach, and Sometimes you will actually go straight into a dream. If you have only been up for a few minutes, I think it's more likely for this to happen. But it's a pretty crazy feeling because you go from visualizing to seeing. There's like a shift, and all of a sudden you're not imagining anything anymore. You're actually looking at it. And that's how you can actually go into a dream without even losing consciousness. That's a little harder, but it can be done with this method because you're going right into REM sleep after 7 hours, and that's why it works. And if you're going to go with visualization when you go back to bed, I've also found that it's easier to do a simple scene. Like if you're going to do basketball, maybe just focus on shooting free throws, or maybe even just looking at the rim. Or if you're at the beach, just imagine you're sitting on the sand. Because the key here is you want to be able to hold the image in your mind, but you don't want to be so mentally stimulated that it keeps you awake. This is where meditation and being able to silence your internal dialogue will help you. So we're going to end with a quote from Don Juan and Carlos Castaneda. The sorcerer's explanation of how to select a topic for dreaming is that a warrior chooses the topic by deliberately holding an image in his mind while he shuts off his internal dialogue. If he is capable of not talking to himself for a moment and then holds the image or thought of what he wants in dreaming, even if only for an instant, then the desired topic will come to him. So good luck with your lucid dreaming. I hope this video helps you. If you have any feedback or want to share your experience, please leave a comment below. And remember that lucid dreaming can be difficult at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's worth it. It's a skill you'll have for your whole life. And if you follow these steps, you will be able to lucid dream consistently. I started 10 years ago, and now I can realize I'm dreaming multiple times a week. It seems like it's about 50% of the time now. And that's just without even doing the wild technique. That's just because I've practiced meditation and reality checks, and I've gotten used to realizing I'm dreaming, that any little thing now can help me to realize I'm dreaming, and it's a lot of fun. So enjoy it, and check out my video on how to meditate. Thank you.